I was over playing Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, and I had fully finished the game last week. The game took me about 12 hours to finish. And, coming into this review, I was a little kind of trepidatious because to me, it's one of those things. How do you review one of the most influential games of all time? And you have to admit that anytime Kojima has released a video game, it has been experimental. It has inspired so many things after, and it has really just transcended media in some capacity. Kojima makes the most wildest games of all time. Kojima has such a sense of flavor, a sense of style that no other game creator has really been able to replicate. And I don't want people to replicate it. This is Kojima's style, and I think Metal Gear is, it is one of the most popular franchises of all time. So playing this and getting ready to talk about it, I was a little scared, but like I told you, I'm gonna be truthful with myself as well. I have to be truthful about this game as a remaster or remake. So we're gonna get into there, and I'm gonna for the definition. So Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is bringing back Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear Solid 3 was released in 2004 for the PlayStation 2. It is an incredibly old game at this point, but it still stands the test of time and is one of the best games in the stealth genre, period. It has one of the most outlandish but beautiful stories of this genre. This game was completely rebuilt in Unreal Engine 5, but still has the same logic and skeleton of the old school Metal Gear Solid 3. So what you're seeing here is a fully revisualized game in the modern era with Unreal Engine 5, and they've also added a completely new play style to the game. Now, in this package, they also have what is called Legacy Mode, where you can play the game in its original format, but the intended experience for Delta is this new third-person action view that you are seeing. So my question to you is this a remaster or remake, being that at the end of the day, it is still Metal Gear Solid 3. It is still the same story, but it's completely new graphics. It's all the same voice acting. It's all the same audio, but it's remastered to bring it up to make it sound more modernized. Same music, but it's a completely new play style. But the old play style is still there for fans that want to experience the legacy.
Well, I would have to think, if we go back to the litmus test of what we just explained, that there's no degree of it. So to me, it sounds like it's a remake.
Yeah. And that's what I've been calling it. I've been saying this is a remake.
Yeah, because there's no degree of it. If you change the mechanics, you're looking at, well, again, when I go back and I look at this, a remaster can make the controls a little bit better. So is it that they just, modernized the controls, or is it that they changed, the pacing of it? They did entirely new content. They changed the levels.
So there is new content to the package, but the main course of the game is still the same, and the modernizing of the controls is a whole new play style. This third person point of view that you're seeing was never the original format of the game. This is a completely new format of the game, but the old format is still there if you so desire to play it. So it's kind of that in between discussion, but I kind of lean more towards remake for this.
I do
one
as well.
So, Metal Gear Solid remake. If we look back to Metal Gear Solid 3, the original, the story has not changed, and I still think the story is absolutely phenomenal. If you do, I'm not going to be going over any story points in this review. I think people who have never experienced the story should go and seek it out for themselves. I think it's very influential. There is a lot of stuff that hasn't aged incredibly well in this game, but I still think for the time that it was made, the story that Kojima was trying to tell, I think it's still kind of relevant, and I think it actually hits home with a lot of things happening in today's world, and I think, he was kind of ahead of his time. But from a gameplay standpoint, Metal Gear Solid Delta really made the game easy. So I think part of the charm of the old school Metal Gear Solid 3 was kind of the difficulty and roaming around these areas. And the other thing I will say is, with the new gameplay style, it made these areas that you are running through actually feel pretty small. And you can actually see the limitation of the PS2 in this new playstyle. And if you go back to the OG style of the game, or even on the older console, you never really thought about it that way because these levels felt super expansive. They felt super wide, so much to explore, so many things to find. But the actual game itself under the new playstyle made it really easy to play. Like a lot of the boss fights that you do throughout this game, I remember in the old school Metal Gear Solid 3 being pretty challenging, even in the Master Collection that released a couple of years back, the package 1 through 3, just up res. It was a lot harder than Delta. Now, Delta does have many difficulty options going all the way up to European Extreme, so you can make it more challenging. You can make the stealth more challenging. You take more damage from enemies. They take more damage themselves. But yeah, it was a very interesting kind of experiment to see, like a modernized game be like feel so small because of the limitations of the PlayStation 2 way back then. But I think the thing is when you're playing this game and if you have the nostalgia for MGS3, this is how it felt playing it back then, if that makes sense to you, Dad. Like this is how you would remember Metal Gear Solid 3 being, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And again, I love the original Metal Gear Solid. I did not get a chance. It's on my playlist. I have it on my backlog here. But it does 100% make sense what you're saying.
Yeah, so the gameplay fully modernized, and I do think the new gameplay modernization does feel really well, given how small the environments actually do feel, in a sense, and how easy it is. I think the options that are given are still the same, but being the flexibility of the tactical espionage genre here that he puts on display, I really like the amount of weapons that you can find, the amount of stealth opportunities you can take, the amount of just wackiness you can get up to, figuring out like what kind of different camouflages up your camo index in order to sneak past enemies. Should I take this beehive and throw it onto someone to completely distract them and have them run the bees into somebody else? Should I throw on a crocodile uniform, swim through the water, and make someone think I'm a crocodile? Or go old school, throw on the cardboard box and see you sneak around and be like, oh, what's that? Or throw on a scientist outfit, roam through it, and see if the people catch on that you're Snake and not a random scientist just walking through. I think all of those gameplay mechanics are still pretty interesting, and they're fully on display here. I think the modernized audio and voice acting, even though it's still the same, I think really felt good here. I really liked the sound effects that were given. I liked the audio cues. You know, nothing beats hearing that exclamation point going above someone's head as you're spotted and alerts. The amount of Easter eggs in this game that can be found, the amount of just wackiness, like I said, that can be found is it's endearing. And that's the one word I would like to use for Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. It's an endearing game. Like it's such fun to be had, and it's stupid most of the times. Like I was laughing at some of the stuff that I was doing and some of the stuff in these cutscenes. Like you'll get some of the most serious things about a Cold War, but then all of a sudden, and for anime fans out there, you'll understand this reference, you get anime fan service, which is you get characters who are well endowed to say the least, and it's so like total shifts at points, but you know it is still an incredible video game.
Do you feel that it really represented an Unreal Engine 5 game, or do you feel that it was, not what a real Unreal Engine 5 game looks like today?
I think Unreal Engine 5 can go so many different ways at this point, and to me it does look like an Unreal Engine 5 game. What this game looks like graphically is like whenever you see those like fan made trailers of, oh, what would Zelda look like in Unreal Engine 5? Like using those capabilities, I do think it looks like a standard Unreal 5 game. I'm not thinking like this game doesn't look like Hellblade 2, and I didn't expect it to look like Hellblade 2. I don't expect it to look like that because at the end of the day, you are remaking it. You're getting the visuals to a certain point. And I think this game, especially the art direction that was given back then, I think the Unreal Engine graphics do match what that game was back then. So yeah, And I did play this on Xbox. I didn't run into any performance issues, but I do know that the PS5 had some performance issues along with the PC. So maybe they patched it out at this point, but I was able to run this game at a solid 60 frames on the Series X without many performance drops. I do think the lighting here was pretty spectacular, kind of like how you mentioned in the Gears review. I really like the lighting kind of reflecting off of the water, reflecting off of the trees. I thought the shadows were really nice. I also thought the facial models were really well detailed here. They went and actually remocapped everything for the cutscene, so it does have an updated mocapping animation set behind it, and you can even see in like some of the word tracking on the mouths, it looks way better than it ever did back then. So I was really impressed with the graphical presentation. One thing is they did remove the green filter from the game, but it is there. You can put the green filter on. So, and I actually think that the green filter makes the game look even a little bit better than what the normal presentation shows.
Do you want to explain what the green filter is to some people that haven't played it?
Old school Metal Gear Solid 3 had this piss green filter on it. And like it made everything super green looking. And they removed it here. So that color grading is gone in the normal game, but you can get that color grading back if you really want that to be represented. Shem says, gotta go catch up with the stream later. Sorry. All good. Have a great rest of your night. Thank you for joining. So yeah, and there are moments in this game, kind of like how Gears of War holds up, that still hold up in today's standard. There's moments later in this game that for 2004 I cannot believe worked on a PlayStation 2. There are moments with the Metal Gear in this game that is one of the coolest action set pieces that I got to experience. Like, it is Uncharted levels of action set pieces, and that being on a PlayStation 2 really surprised me. And having it be modernized in today's era was awesome. Super fun to play. Now, the some of the new content for the game that I would like to get into in this package is, so the PlayStation does have content exclusive stuff that I'll get into, but in the Xbox and PC version, there is a Snake versus Bomberman mode where you get to go around and Snake fights Bomberman, which is another huge Konami franchise from way back when. So that's cool. And there was a moment in the original game where at a certain point, avoiding story spoilers, you're in prison. And if you call paramedic, which is to save the game, paramedic starts talking about the movie Dracula and says, if you start having nightmares about Dracula, let me know and we can talk about it. And when that save happened, if you reload, you went into this completely new action game. And way back when, it was actually supposed to be a demo for an upcoming action game coming out. And that game never got released. But in the remake, they actually went ahead and made a whole new nightmare sequence. And it was actually developed by Platinum Games, the developers of Bayonetta, of the upcoming Ninja Gaiden 4, and a slew of other titles that Platinum has made. And they made this called Guy Savage Delta. So they made this whole new nightmare sequence. And it was honestly really cool to see a modernized version of that, but with slick new gameplay mechanics from a whole nother developer. So that sequence is in the game, but it's completely new. Like, the old sequence that was in the PS2 version is not in this game at all. You would have to go to the PS2 version to actually experience that. I did mention there is PlayStation exclusive content. So in the OG version of the game, there was a mode called Snake Ape Escape. Ape Escape is an old school game, and in the old school MGS3, you were able to play Ape Escape with Snake, and that isn't the PlayStation 5 only version of the game, because that is a PlayStation IP. So on the PlayStation 5, you can play the new version of Ape Escape, but the twist is Astrobot is also in the game. So you can go around and actually fight Astrobot and catch him with Snake in this remade version on the PS5. So I thought that was a cool little detail. That being said, though, for a $70 package, I am left a little disappointed in some areas. So I do think there are multiple versions of Metal Gear Solid 3 out there. For example, on the PS2, there is a Metal Gear Solid 3 Substance package that also included Metal Gear Online. Metal Gear Online also didn't even launch with this game. It is coming at a later date. And I was kind of excited for Metal Gear Online. I do miss the days, especially from the 360, of those single player games that also just had a multiplayer mode attached to it, like kind of like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. It wasn't the greatest multiplayer mode in the world, but it was still a lot of fun. And that Metal Gear Online looked to be scratching that itch. But it was very disappointing to see Metal Gear Online not even being represented here right off the rip. Substance is not even in the game. Like, you cannot go experience any of the exclusive content from Substance that was in that campaign version on the PS2. You can't flip between graphical settings, kind of like how Halo Master Chief Collection did it. I thought that was an incredible feature that they had on the Master Chief Collection. And you can't switch on the fly between the legacy or the new style. You actually have to go and make a new save file to play in one of the other modes. And I thought that was really disappointing. I wish that they would have kind of let me switch on the fly. I think that is at bare minimum when you're remaking it. You already have the option there. Allow me to switch between the game modes on the fly. I can live without being able to switch between the old school graphics and the new school. Like, if you didn't have the time to develop that, that is fine. I know that takes a lot of time. But if you already have the play styles here, allow me to switch between them. I think that's a bare minimum ask. I shouldn't have to make a completely new save file in order to experience that. Would you agree?
I would 100%. I think that if it's there and you're building it, you might as well put it in. And, I certainly don't want to accuse the studio that they're trying to make more money or separating things out. And maybe they come out with a different edition. I don't know that. But yes, if you're going to do, to me, the remake or a remaster should have everything in every DLC, every multiplayer, everything it should be in. I remember listening to the rumors of Gears of War when they were doing this reload that, it wasn't going to come with multiplayer in it, or it wasn't going to come with co-op. We saw the backlash that Halo came out with when it didn't come right out with the co-op, which is made, Halo, and then it didn't come out with the Forge. Like that, to me, you saw that community fall apart at that point.
Yeah.
To me, I don't care what you're remaking, remaster. Yes, I agree. If you have those assets, they should all be put in DLCs, everything into one. Now, if you're going to do some exclusive content like PlayStation did with Astrobot, I'm fine with that. But when you're redoing it, this isn't a new IP. It's not a new game. You're remaking something. Put everything in it.
Yeah. And yeah, I agree. So it was disappointing to see those things omitted from the game. I wish it was here. Now, the other thing I do want to touch on, because obviously it's been a hot topic ever since this thing was announced. Does it respect Kojima's legacy in any way? The answer is yes. This game is so safe. Like, this is the safest remake I've ever seen. And I'm glad it's that way because the Metal Gear fan base is one of the most passionate fan bases. And without Kojima, I don't think you should do anything new, especially when it's remaking his work. This game is very safe. So if you've experienced Metal Gear Solid 3 in any way, you will not be experiencing anything new here. It is the exact same game. It is his exact same legacy. They preserved everything that he has ever put in there. They credit him a lot, which I was super excited to see. It is his work as intended, and it is just prettier and more modernized. There is nothing else to it. Are you happy with that?
I am, because, and again, I'll relate it back to the Gears of War. I love the fact that the Gears of War Reloaded, when you look at credits, they have the credits of the original team. They have the credits of the people that did the Ultimate, and they have the credits of the Reload. So yes, I think that you should credit the people that have their heart and soul in this game. I don't think you should ever erase history in that. So yes, I'm glad to hear that they at least paid homage to what he did, because he's one of the best in the industry.
Yeah. And I do think that with this, I think they're leading up for more remakes of the Metal Gear Solid franchise. There are still games that are locked to PlayStation 3, which is Metal Gear Solid 4. So I hope they continue to bring these games to the modern generation. Metal Gear Solid is one of the most influential pieces of media. You can see this game be referenced so many times in other games. You can see the love that people have for this franchise. And with that, I would like to give my score. So all that being said, at the end of the day, and I'm gonna say this very carefully, Metal Gear Solid 3 the game itself, the way it was, the story has always been a 10 out of 10 for me. I think Metal Gear Solid 3 is one of the greatest video games of all time. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I absolutely adore Metal Gear Solid 3. But my official score for the Metal Gear Solid Delta remake is an 8 out of 10. I think there are so many highs with this package, being that it is still the game that I come to know and love. But there's a lot missing in this package that it is hard to say that this is worth the $70 at the moment. Like I said, it's still an amazing video game, and I can't dock any more points from it. But the lack of Metal Gear Online, the lack of Metal Gear Substance, the lack of just the extra content that is missing from this game is a little disheartening in some areas. Like, you can blow through this game in 12 hours, like for your first playthrough, looking through everything. I got all the collectibles, like I blew through this. Like, you can get a run in this game under 2 hours if you are skipping cutscenes and really want to do it. Like, part of the Metal Gear charm is the replayability and finding all the things for it. But I have been so familiar with Metal Gear 3 for the longest time that, like, this game, like, it is what it is. It's still Metal Gear 3 at the end of the day. So, like, the game itself, like, back then, like, I love it dearly. But this package, there is some disappointments that I wish were still here. And I hope Konami at some point adds them in a free update. I hope they bring some new stuff with Metal Gear Online, because a lot of the substance content was with Metal Gear Online. So there's still hope to be had. But if you are a Metal Gear fan, I think this is an easy recommendation. And I would also say this is the most recommendable version of Metal Gear Solid 3. I would not recommend for someone for their first time to go on the PS2 or to go play it on the Master Collection. I would absolutely recommend this version if they have any interest in this game. Like, it is the most modernized. It's the best feeling. And, I think this is truly, the best way to play the game in the modern era. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts about Metal Gear Solid 3. And Nate Edwards says should have been $40 top. I don't make the prices, but I it shouldn't have been $70. I think this could have been a $60, maybe a $50 game as it currently stands, with a lot of the missing content.